Welcome, you're watching Kaleidoscope Ceylinco Live News Capsule. Our top story is on whether policy matters. 1 year ago, Sri Lankans took to the streets wanting a system change. 1 year later, we are yet calling for policy reform. However, this has yet to become tangible. The wheels of policy reform turn slowly, but there are priority areas that can be accelerated. Political analyst Kusum Wijetilleke popped into the studio for a discussion. If we were to look at priority policy areas, what would the three most important policies be that we need to put in place?
I'd start with, say, investments in education, because education has been, we've seen a lack of investments in education and health. That's been confirmed by the data, by the World Bank, by the IMF, by the ADB. So we have to make those investments in education, because if we don't educate our children going forward, we are going to have an uninformed electorate, and we're going to have voters that will vote based on personality, not on principle or policy. The second one I would say is to fix campaign finance reform, because if we just allow money to decide who is able to win the vote, who comes in from each party, who is able to contest from a party, that's not a vibrant democracy. The third one I would say is we have to fix our judiciary, because in Sri Lanka, for instance, it takes over 280 days to execute a breach of contract, a basic breach of contract. So our court system is just not efficient. The average in our region is about half the number of days it takes. So we can't be an FDI destination, we can't grow our economy if people are actively avoiding the judiciary. You and I would never go to the courts if we had a car accident to claim our insurance. We just wouldn't do that. So we can't develop as a country unless we have some trust and faith in an efficient judiciary.
In designing these policies, what should policymakers be aware of?
Well, let's take education, for instance. It's not just about investing more money. Okay, it's about improving the system. And to improve the system, we have to recognize what systems work globally. So Finland, the UK, Australia, a lot of countries have shown a different way of structuring their education system. And I think moving away from standardized testing, for instance, is one, rote memorizing, these are things that Sri Lankans do regularly. So we have to move away from that and go into a different type of education system. So that's one. If you take the judiciary, I think it's just a matter of increasing the number of courts, increasing the efficiency, taking away incentives that are there for lawyers to just continue a case, because a case has to end at some point. When you're making a policy, you have to understand what you're trying to achieve by changing a policy.
What do you anticipate will be the bottlenecks in actually implementing these?
The bottlenecks exist in terms of our provincial school system and the national school system. Okay, they're very old systems. Some of these schools have been underfunded for decades. So you're not going to change that in 1 year. You can't bring in decades of underfunding and fix it in a year or 2 years. A system has dependence. Any system, whether it's a government, whether it's a computer system, they have dependencies. So you have to extricate those dependencies from the system. The bottlenecks are the politics itself. The politics in Sri Lanka has pervaded every aspect of our society. So if we don't depoliticize everything from the media to education to the judiciary, we're not going to get anywhere.
If you like Kaleidoscope, subscribe and follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram and LinkedIn.
You focus on your goals. We will take care of the rest.